Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, Charlotte, North Carolina, Alexandria, Louisiana, Selma, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, Little Rock, Arkansas, Lombard, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Seattle, Washington, Hampton, Virginia, Miami Beach, California, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Sacramento, California, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, New Orleans, Louisiana, and also New York, Dallas, Texas, Portland, Oregon, and also Kansas City, Missouri, home to the Kansas City football Chiefs. Season starts next week. We're going to announce with the Missouri Team Conference for August 27, 2022. My name is Al Approach, and host and creator along with Elder Alan Lau. Hey there, Red.
Fine.
And how's the family and our choir director?
He fine.
I know he is getting bigger and getting taller and taller.
No, he's still short, man.
Oh, he'll be a short man?
Yeah, I call him the cat man.
I'm gonna leave that alone, Rev. And how you doing today?
I'm too blessed to be distressed.
But that's okay. Life is good to you, Scott. We got up this morning.
That's right.
And we'll have a brand new day, and we're gonna do something with it. And also, we are broadcasting live on Ferguson, UNC Ontario, from beautiful Woodson Terrace, Missouri, St. Louis, and also Orland, Missouri, all at the same time, thanks to technology. And this Ferguson, USA, launched with Missouri Team Congress. And right now, we're going to have our prayer. Get our program going with Elder Alan Lyles, who's the pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Catholic Church, located 55 West on Dillon Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri. And that's, we have prayer with Elder Alan Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Catholic Church, located 55 West Dillon Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri, 63120. That's in North St. Louis. That's prayer, our prayers, I just said, with Elder Alan Lyles, who's the pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Catholic Church, located 55 West Dillon Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, 63120. Rev, how you doing and what you got for us?
Fine. Let's bow our heads.
Yes, sir.
Heavenly Father, we continue to thank you for a wonderful gospel. How that Christ died for our sin, was buried, and rose again. And by continuing believing to the saving of the soul, continues to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. And Heavenly Father, we know that everything is in your hand, and we know you can do everything but fail. We ask you to bless the sick all over the universe. And Heavenly Father, we send out special prayers for the sick too, as well, that are sick and down. We send out special prayers to touch them, Heavenly Father, and let them know you're still on the throne. And everything's gonna be all right. And they will recover, because you can't fail. So we just thank you for that, and the gospel go forward. We have a wonderful fellowship with you today. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen, Rev. We thank you so much for that prayer, and again, illnesses and stuff around the world, continues to grow, you with this polio popping up, stuff that's continuously coming back, people don't want to get vaccines, take the medicine. And we are using medicine to serve. You know how important it is to take the medicine that God is created for. And so anyway, Rev, I'm not going to preach it. What do you have for us, in the message today?
1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter.
Okay.
It's telling the people that they are reminded that the Christian revelation owes nothing to human wisdom.
Wow. Okay.
And Paul did not use it. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power.
Amen.
That your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to know. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even hidden wisdom, which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, eye had not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God had prepared for them that love him. But God had revealed them unto us by his Spirit. For the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him? Even so the things of God knoweth no man but the Spirit of God. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God, which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but with the Holy Ghost teaches, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who had known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. Now I want to elaborate on it. I'm going to just hit a little bit on this lesson.
Please, man, because that was a mouthful that you said there that is telling a lot about where we are right now in our present day lives.
And I want to explain to people what wisdom means.
Okay.
In the dictionary, wisdom means accumulated philosophic or scientific learning, knowledge, ability to discern inequalities and relationships, insight, good sense, judgment, a wise attitude, or a course of action, the teaching of the ancient wise men. And then here's the other: intelligence. Having Christian science, the basic eternal quality of divine mind, mental acuteness, shrewdness, and intelligent entity, angel or intelligent minds or mind, constantly the act of understanding comprehensive information. Now,
Rev, go back to wisdom again. Say that one more time, please.
Wisdom is accumulated philosophical or scientific learning, knowledge, ability to discern inequalities and relationships, insight, good sense, judgment, a wise attitude,
Amen.
or a course of action, the teaching of the ancient wise men. See, Adam already had this wisdom.
That's deep there, Rev. That's deep.
See, Adam had this wisdom when God made him, and this is the proof of that. Go to Genesis 2. Turn to Genesis 2.
Okay.
And this will bring that out about that wisdom and intelligence. Genesis 2 and verse 19. It said, and out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. See that? See, that's already in it. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. So this is explaining that wisdom, and that's the same wisdom that he got from the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam got that wisdom, he had it already. Ain't that something?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I asked you to kind of go back on that wisdom, because see, that goes so deep, okay, in the foundation of where we are today.
Yep. See, people think they intelligence, and this is what Satan uses against people, educational people, intelligence and all that. There's nothing wrong with that for you to learn and how to go about in this world and explaining things. But the thing about it, ain't no salvation in it. The only salvation is in Jesus Christ, death, burial, and resurrection, the gospel. That's the only thing that can save you, is God's gospel about Jesus Christ, death, burial, and resurrection. That's why you always got to explain it all the time. Just like last week, I came out of 2 Corinthians 4th chapter and said, if our gospel be hid, it's hid to them that are lost. Because the God of this world has blinded their mind to the spiritual truth of God.
Amen.
So that's why the gospel must be preached all the time. That's a message that Jesus preached when he was here. He preached that same message. But you know what we do? We preach about mimicking each other. But he didn't mimic each other. He just spoke his word that his Father gave him the mind to speak.
It was clear.
And that was bibliology, which is the mind of God. See, people, you need to stay with the Bible. It's all right about that theology, theology, anthropology, all of them, ecclesiology, eschatology, all that's wonderful. But you need to stay with bibliology, which is the mind of God. And that's you coming direct to God, and you not through a man then to God. God don't want nobody besides you. He wants you and not somebody else coming for you. He wants you to speak to him. That's why you got to be born again. Wake up, people. Wake up. It's time to wake up.
Not just St. Louis, here, around the world.
Yep, wake up. Everybody wake up.
Yeah.
You remember that song that said, wake up, everybody, wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up, y'all.
Yeah.
It's time to wake up.
Yeah. God knows, right now, there's so much going on, around the world, okay, and unfortunately, people don't get the information that's out there. Man, we have more information today than we ever had in our entire lives. And that's also creating some confusion, okay? People don't get their own opinion about what they're hearing. Well, they told me this, or they told me, who is always they, Rev? That's the thing I would like to ask. Who is they? You ever say,
I just got some mail about 4 free silver balls. And I called them people and told them I don't want that mess. Because it ain't nothing but a scam.
But Rev, you got scams. You got a scam being born every second. Somebody trying to figure out how to separate you from your money.
Yep.
Or trying to mess with your mind.
Yes, they are. But
money
I ain't sleep.
No, you can't take no nap. You gotta be always ready on your toes.
Yep, my motto is that stay alert and stay alive. And Jesus told us to watch and pray.
And Rev, that has got you and I to the age. Well, you're older than me right now, 74, and I'm 73. And that's what I use all of my life. God, show me what I need to do. Show me what I need to say. Tell me what I need to say, and show me how to go about doing stuff. What I need to say. Amen. Obedient when He tells you to do something.
It's wonderful to be saved.
Yes, sir. And there's nothing new under this earth that hasn't been done before. We just some pages, like I was telling you before we went on the air, about back in 55 BC, when Julius Caesar, who was going way back, tried to invade Britain way back then. And guess what? He couldn't do nothing, okay? But that's how long the British Empire has been around. So people just didn't talk about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's where we came from as a part of the British Empire. We got our independence back in almost 3,000 years. I'm not sure 300 years ago. Now 300 years ago. So we are a very new nation.
Yep.
We're a baby. Could you imagine that, going back, England and all the empires, the land that they controlled around the world? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Like I said, the song said, we all in God's hand.
Amen.
You somebody intelligent that could explain that to us.
Okay, intelligence is what Satan uses with man. When Adam sinned, that wicked man came in, which was intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when it explains up here where it says philosophical or scientific. See, scientific is of man's thinking, but not God's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
See, man always talking about what science and theory.
Mm-hmm.
But God made man, He spoke him into existence.
Amen.
And everything man needed, He had it when He came here. That's why, like they got this computer out here, this right here is the devil's tool to mess up man-made man. All the people in the world, everybody is prone to this idolatry, which coming out of this beast, which is this computer. Everything you want to know, it'll tell you. And you can't think for yourself, it thinks for you.
Well, Rev, and that's why you can't think for yourself. It may give you some options, but you got to use common sense, like you just said.
Amen.
But all a computer is like a library. It's like a lawyer. I mean, earlier in my life, I had one of these high-priced lawyers. He said, Alan, my job is to give you the options. It's your decision to do what you want to do. I didn't tell you the good and the bad of it.
Yep.
You figure out what to do. And that's what the Bible does.
Yeah, the Bible's the man of God.
Yes.
And I'm a bibliology specialist.
Oh yeah, you study, Rev, day in and day out. That I do know. Okay. That I do know. Matter of fact, I look forward to us getting back together and kind of begin to teach me some stuff. I'm a person. I love information.
Yeah, I got a whole lot of different lessons.
I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah, I've been writing some different lessons and talking. And you know, even after you go with that, you still get more out of it because the word of God is inexhaustible.
Yes, it is. And people need to understand that.
It's inexhaustible. Because it's a constantly growing.
Mm-hmm.
You grow into stages.
Right. Like a baby, you know, you go through those stages in life, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And when you get to our age, Red, we done seen a whole lot.
Yep.
That's right. You and I was young, Red. We didn't feel we was coming to 30 years old. I mean, we see about that all of the earth that we just, you know, there won't be no, y'all said there ain't gonna be no more earth. Well, we were fools back then. We didn't know to believe that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Look at us now, Red. We doing it twice that.
Bob, I'm crazy about the word of God now.
Yeah, we flipped about. We found out that, hey, we got a long
One time I was a fool and foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Not no more.
No. The eyes of your eyes of enlightenment are enlightened. The Red, we want to thank you today for enlightening us, okay? We were about intelligence and also about wisdom. You listen to Ferguson USA, HotTario.com, lunch with them, Chicken Conference on a beautiful Saturday. Ours is almost gone. So, Scott, on that note, take us out of here.
Amen.
Amen. On a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Today, well, all this week I've been suffering since last week with bad sinus problems. And just off the air, Scott and Real and I were discussing, I've been taking medicine and I'm feeling somewhat better. But Scott mentioned something here, what he does as a singer. And I did this as a talker when I was working. He put cough drops in a cup of water and put it in the microwave. And you dissolve it and you drink it. Does that really work? Scott, thank you so much for reminding me of something I forgot about.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep this for the week. Anyway, we also continue to keep us in the prayers right now how this Americans around matter of fact, so far over 1.3 million. You know, Americans, okay, 1.115 million people have passed away from this COVID-19. Coronavirus, Delta virus, Omicron, B2, A, B5, and now as we continue to fight that, it hasn't gone away, but it's not as bad as it used to be. As a matter of fact, this past week, First Lady Jill Biden on Wednesday tested positive again for COVID-19. and right now she's kind of convalescing at home, in Florida right now. One quarantine, I should say, to get over this, And also right now on August 22nd, the national forecast predict that between now and September 16th, we will probably get another 2,000 to 10,000 new people will be hospitalized for COVID-19. So again, this is not going away. And right now, the Biden administration has plans for a new booster shot that comes out next month, and it will kind of cover all the new strands that's out here for a while. This is going to continue to grow, and we don't know in science exactly what's going to stop at. And also this past week, Rochelle Walensky, who's the CDC director, was cautiously optimistic about the direction of the monkeypox outbreak. And this is going around the whole world, not just in the United States. There is a vaccine out there for it. And this is one of those things that it spreads. You don't have to be gay. It's if they touch something that stays on a bed sheet. If you're riding a train someplace and somebody touch a rail. So right now, all these things right now are contributing. That's why we always say wash your hands. Please, that works. So you wash your hands, and you get social distance as much as you can. And also continue with your face mask. I wear my face mask everywhere I go because right now you're not sure what is airborne. That much we do know, and so we need to be very careful about what we're doing and how in the air that we breathe.
Amen.
Because right now, that's the air that we breathe, make all the difference in our bodies. And also, this past week, at some point we knew it had to end. Dr. Andrew Fauci will retire at the end of the year. He's been the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Diseases back when President Johnson was president. That's a long time ago. So right now he's in his 80s, and he said he wants to get out and live some life where he can move around a little bit. But to be somebody in the 80s, he is a very active young man. And right now I'm looking forward to making that age myself, and I said thank you God for that. So again, he led us through a whole lot of diseases over time, over the years. So again, Andrew Fauci will retire. And right now he's on the President's Council, advisors of health issues and stuff. And he couldn't get a better person, for that position because he has the experiences and the know-how. And also the Secret Service said Friday he had recovered. This is $286 million in COVID-19 funds that were spent that were meant for small businesses. Primarily Black businesses also were siphoned off by fraudsters using thousands of stolen or fake identities. The fraudsters created over 15,000 accounts on their online account at the Green Dot Bank. This is an online institution, it's a big institution out in Texas. This is in one bank. So right now, the people got those funds, and really this is kind of coming about because President Biden most recently got some legislation passed that's going to hire more Internal Revenue Services people to go out and kind of check where the money went. We all know back then when the PP money hit, we heard about it on a Friday, and most of the banks were the money was gone by Monday. So if you didn't have an account at that bank or when they paid with people, you just left out in the cold. But I will say right now that the Biden administration has created a lot of programs, to get people somewhat out of debt. Matter of fact, most recent one was the one that we just saw this week, I should say. Over 40 million Americans will see their student loan debt reduced and in many cases eliminated under a plan that the President announced on our Wednesday. This is a campaign pledge he had made, but also people say it's not enough. Well, right now this is going to affect over 90% of the Black population that went to college in some places. Because you go to school, they say, get your college education, and there's a price for it. And once these debts get on you, there's no, you can't file bankruptcy on it. You got to pay it one way or another. So right now, this allows a lot of people to buy homes like that. If you ain't got no money, $10,000 is a lot of money to you. You know what I'm saying? And in most cases, it'd be $20,000. People who live in a home where they have two parents. And so this is going to go a long ways and change a whole lot of lives for the better. And I'm excited about that. And also, this is just one part of the things that President Biden has done in the last couple of weeks, And we have to say that a lot of the Republican side, a lot of them were criticizing the forgiveness program. And the White House has a new person on staff that's called a social media person. Okay, what they do is they kind of respond, to claims. Something like when Bill Clinton had it, like a war room. Where they attack it, anybody attack them, they would attack back. Well, kind of find out a handful or probably more Republicans, like the ones that complaining, they only got money in their lives for debt reduction, for their college debts in some cases, or they got forgiveness for their PPP loans and stuff they got. And you're surprised, okay, how many people who got that kind of money? But right now, I would say be careful who calls it black. Because right now, a lot of people are hollering about the political game. It ain't good, but they got theirs, okay? And that's what a lot of people do, corporations do. They'll get theirs first, okay? They're no less to get what they got. And that is kind of different in most cases between success and not being successful. It's how you can take advantage of what's out there for you. And right now, that's a good thing. And also something that continues to work out good. The job market is as robust as we have seen in many years. There are fewer claims being submitted, and thus the economy reduced, shrank, call it what you want to call it, about 0.06%. And just about a way as gasoline prices continue to go down. Continue to go down. And right now, as this continues to take place, more people have more money on their tables. Gas has been a problem for a long time now, most of the summer. But in matter of fact, most times, in this time of year, prices normally go up. If you get ready to travel, for the holidays, their price goes up. More people are traveling now than ever before. So not since the pandemic, I should say. Things are getting back to normal, but again, still be cautious as you go out. And also, another thing that's been in the news, okay, but you haven't heard a lot about it. But it's still front page. Still, if you're in Texas, down in Texas, the former police chief, Peter Rendo, he's the chief of police of the school district there, and he was fired. Wednesday was a bad day for a lot of people. He was fired on Wednesday by a unanimous vote. And this shooting took place 3 months ago, and so far he's the only person that has lost a job since this shooting took place. And there are a lot of, if you recall, the video was out that showed that how all those people were standing in the hallway there, and all those people, okay, were not engaged in any kind of way. Just sitting there waiting, and they could have knocked that door down. And then the bad part about it, when the reports came out, the door wasn't even locked, real. They all could have went in. Or they could have went in the windows. Bad situation. So a lot of people had to be atoned for that, okay? But we're going to see how that plays out. And also, more and more videos of police officers beating, handcuffed people around the country are coming out. Because this is a good thing. Because right now, the good thing about this is people have cell phone cameras. They're now starting to take pictures, okay? And they're showing police officers around the country who are beating people unmercifully. And just, to no end, okay? And then all of a sudden they pop up on camera. And then at that point, the person has been accused of a lot of things. All the charges are dropped. Video kind of tells the whole story. And in fact, one thing we are very thankful for the video cell phones, George Floyd, there never would have been what it was. It changed history. All caught on cell phone camera. And also down in Georgia, where we had the lynching down in Georgia. Again, that was kind of videotaped on the cell phone also. So the cell phone has the good advantages, and it has more advantages than we are aware of. And what people are doing, they're putting these pictures up online, and now there's a price to pay for all that. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. What's done in the dark will come to light, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Now one of the things that since the June the 22nd this year, the Supreme Court overturned the Roe versus Wade law that had been around for over 50-some years, and they reversed it. Now this didn't take place overnight. Okay, we understand this. This has been a goal of the Republican Party for many years. And that's why they put the people on the Supreme Court to make those changes. And that's one of the things now that even when the word came out through a leaked document that this was going to take place, people went to the streets. Back in our day, back in the 60s, people demonstrated a whole lot for change.
Mm-hmm.
They demonstrated, they also went out and voted. I was talking to a good friend of mine in this past week or so, who's been in politics for a very long time. And he was telling me, we was talking about the political climate and stuff. And one thing that I mentioned to him, I said, well, this abortion issue is going to be an item in the upcoming elections. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Well, they had some primaries this past week of the New York City where women, people out of the world, that's English famous to you, okay? This has been championed by Republicans for years, and this has led to fighting in most legislative bodies around the country, where they got laws that are making it more restrictive for a lady to get an abortion, to get medical help, no matter how old you are, if you was incest or you were raped, no matter what it is. They said you're going to have to have that baby. And now they also saying in that contraceptives in some cases are trying to be banned. And this has created an uproar because you have a lot of major corporations around the world, around this country, I should say, who are now coming out saying they're going to give their people time and assistance to go get abortion. You say, why is this? Well, the female, if you're in the service, okay, you're going to get kicked out for the most part. There are things that you can't do if you're a mother. But you got to take care of your baby. And most of these companies, okay, if you're pregnant, they got to get trained to new employees. So there a lot of companies right now are paying for people to go get their abortions. And this has created more unrest than the Republican Party had planned for. And so now companies are paying for the abortion for the employees. But one of the problems we're having here is that only so many states down now that it takes place. So now they got to travel. And they got to make those things to do all that. So right now, this is a big deal. And down in New York City, I should say, there was a district up there that was a primary Republican district that went Democrat, and one of the issues was abortion. And also down in Florida, which is going to be a hotly contested election that's going on down there, the primary for this week, primary produced one of the first generation Stephen members of Congress, actually Frost in the 10th district down in Florida, and his issue again was abortion, as well as racism and like that. And in Florida, there's going to be a whole lot of fighting going on down there, and as it's going to the election this fall, one of the things that even Rich McConnell, who's the minority leader of the House, the Senate, I should say, has come out and said that the forecast they had for them taking over the Senate right now doesn't look like it's going to be that way. And the reason being, people understand now why and how the laws are made, and who controls those laws being made. And that's by you voting come November. So the right person to put in there, they're just going to help your needs. And one of the things now, there's more information out there, find out about where people stand. As a matter of fact, here in Missouri, it ain't funny, but it is funny. Here's the county executive, Sam Page, is up for re-election. And we had a young lady that ran. She didn't spend any money. She didn't put out no money for billboards. She didn't have no people calling. And she beat Republican state legislator that lives in Baldwin, one of the least communities out here, a black man. And she beat him badly. And so now, they got her, as the candidate in the upcoming election. Well, that surprised everybody. Even them didn't know she was running. And now all of a sudden she decides that she don't want to go under the scrutiny or whatever is going on when you get elected official or even nominated. But now she already quit the race. And so now the Republican Party here, they got to find another candidate to go against Sam Page. So I understand there's a lot of people who don't understand that when you get in politics, like President Trump found out, your whole life becomes public information. And with all the media stuff you got now on devices, like cell phone, all the computers and stuff, they're gonna find out about what it is you did, what it is you didn't do. And also, so come November, we're gonna see a lot of these faces, Congress, and also the House right now. They are planning to take over, not that the Republicans take over the House. Well, that is kind of changing around also. Because people don't want people to be vicious. And mainly one of the reasons is President Biden has been very successful with most of the programs that he started out with now is now coming to fruition. In politics, you have to propose something. It takes a while for it to become law, but for you to understand it. And so right now, you got to work it out, talk about it, and that's why in the Senate, that's where you always compromise and work out something. And so right now, with Joe Biden coming around, the Democrats right now are looking good, better than they thought they would. And also another thing that's you hear about it in your local community is that now there's a problem finding teachers for classes for schools right now. And I'm not just here in St. Louis or Missouri as a whole, but around the country. And not only do they have problems finding teachers, now we figure out we need some more custodians. Now we figure out we need some more people that work in the office. The office, okay. You can have somebody do the security guards, the crossing guards. But right now, all those things are right now coming to fruition. Another thing that continues to plague our nation right now are these mass shootings. We have had listen to this right now, people, over 440 mass shootings this year alone. And the year is still not over yet. So one of the things here, and I didn't talk about President Trump, what's going on with him down there in Mar-a-Lago, because you heard enough about it, and right now, I'm not trying to change nobody's mind, but I'll tell anybody right now, read what's coming out of there, and you will find that a whole lot of documents that should not have been there were down there. And all that was illegal. And what people tell President Trump we still call President Trump right now, getting some good lawyers and make preparation to go someplace. But right now, he got a hell of a problems on his hand. And last but not least, here in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, murders are happening here at a record pace right now in St. Louis City, and also in St. Louis County, they're up, and also carjacking continue to get worse and worse. And also, we need to pray for all these people who have been affected by this. But anyway, this is the lunch with the Missouri County Conference on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. My name is Aaron, folks. God took it out here. Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, and around the world. Matter of fact, we are so fortunate to be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all around the world, and Spotify. Anywhere you can find Lunch with Missouri like Chairman Conroy. That's Lunch with the Missouri like Chairman Conroy. Lunch with the Missouri like Chairman Conroy. I said it 3 times, real. I got it right. But we can be found there. And also, one of the things that I encourage people to do, okay, is utilize what you hear from us. We try to give you the facts. And I am so happy to introduce one of my members of the Missouri Chairman Conroy, a young man that I met this year early on, and he's been an inspiration to me. That's Mr. Jonathan Smickles. How you doing, Jonathan?
Doing quite well already. Yourself?
Life is good, sir. Life is good. Life is good. You know, we were planning to have you on a couple of times. You know, if things came up, we had to move you around, but you've been a patient man, but a busy man.
Absolutely. They say if you want something done, give it to a busy man.
Well, I mean, when they tell you, a car, how do you turn a car? Because if the car is not moving, you can't turn that wheel, okay? But if it's rolling, okay, you can make a turn, can't you?
Then you can make it turn as long as it's rolling.
As long as it's rolling, but when it stops, man, you may make that turn, you're gonna be fighting like hell to get it done, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am happy to say that I met Johnson through our Missouri Chairman Conroy, you know, and he's part of our Black and Academy program, also part of the alumni, I should say. And as right now, that is in the works of coming back working with Brother Ryan and his team. So that is being worked on. But right now, John, tell people a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's what I said. I don't want to box it up, okay? I'll let you tell that story.
I got you. My name is Jonathan Nichols. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. I have an aging family, so I spent some time in North Carolina and in the Washington, D.C. area. My background, I guess, educationally is, I've got a computer science degree and it's in technology for well over 20 years, and most of that has been as an IT project manager. I currently lead halfway international or halfway domestic team in managing e-commerce websites for some companies. And I'm also a licensed real estate agent in Maryland and Washington, D.C. And have been doing that for a little while. Have pivoted away from the residential side and kind of been looking towards the commercial side. That's anything 5 units or more. And still kind of working in that area. So that's what some know.
Jonathan, why don't you explain to people the difference in real estate between being in commercial and residential?
Absolutely. Generally, if I'm not mistaken, I guess the definition, when most people hear residential, they're thinking just a home where a single family is in. But if you're looking at an FHA loan and some of these other loans, anything up to 4 units, so you might have a twin if you're, say, in Philadelphia, a duplex in other parts of the area, that's 2 units, or a triplex, that's 3 units, or a fourplex, that's 4 units. All of that's really considered multi-family, but it's considered residential. When you get over 5 units, that's considered commercial.
Okay, so that's going to be into your manufacturing. Factories that in general, you want to get an office building.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's right. I was making the difference between from a real estate multifamily versus residential home, but yes, it also includes office buildings, it includes factories, it includes special purpose type properties, those are like say funeral homes or churches. It includes pretty much any of those things where business is generally taken care of.
Okay. Well, excuse me, my sound is just right here. But right now, okay, now tell people a little bit right now, what is the housing market like right now in the Black community? In the DC area.
Wow. That's a loaded question. Let's see. There are a lot of different things that over time that have affected us in kind of a negative way, but it's also in a positive way. Those of us who were able to get into homes, in the last 5 or 10 years, we may have seen some good appreciation in our home, and are able to particularly cash in on that appreciation by getting either a home equity line of credit or to refinance, or to potentially sell that home and then move up into a new home. I would say the negative thing that we've been seeing as a pattern has been on the appraisal line. So whenever you're doing any of these refinances, to do a home equity line, to do a refinance of your home, or even to sell your home, you're going to have an appraisal involved. And there have been some studies that have been done by some reputable national organizations that have basically stated that from an African American perspective, if an appraiser sees or that home happens to have items in it that kind of indicate that it's a minority or African American home, the appraisal value is lower than in those that maybe say, of white or other nationalities. So,
Jonathan, why is that?
Oh man.
I mean, your personal opinion. I mean, because we got students, okay, but I know I'm a developer myself, okay, and I know already that the depreciation in the black community, of the real estate has been one of the hindrance, okay.
Yeah.
Other black community, many of them acquire any wealth. Would you agree on that?
I think so. For most of us, those who have homes, generally that's where a lot of our wealth is. Generally are not ones to have additional resources, say that we've been saving, because we are in the stock market, we don't quite understand the stock market. So our homes are generally where our wealth is. And if we're unable to get the value, right, that our other counterparts that have homes are getting, then that means that we have less income to be able to affect things like, sending the children to college, right, or to take care of other, critical needs that happen within the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think right now, I recall that the one of the most valuable things a person will purchase in their life, okay, is a home.
Yeah.
And then second to that, okay, comes the automobile. And unfortunately, right now, some automobiles cost more than houses cost.
Yeah, the housing costs have been going up, and that's because of a multitude of factors. Some of them, are, what we saw before. The issue was getting supplies, right? We had these situations where we couldn't get imports, happening. And so the cost of shipping has gone up tremendously. Well, then that gets passed on to whatever the supplies are that are going to be needed in order to build a home. So, instead of being able to build, a five bedroom home or shed, you can probably only build a 2-bedroom home because the costs have been stripped out. If you add on to that, the increase in the mortgage interest rate, that also impacts the amount of homes that you can buy or build as well. So there are a lot of factors involved in that. And so again, going back to what I was saying before about having that equity in that current home maximized is really, really important to ensure that, we're leveling up within our community.
John, one of the things, in another life, as I call it, I was able to build about 25 single-family homes in Midtown St. Louis, okay? And in doing that, I've looked at the side, I should say, that most black people can get in, they can get money to build single-family homes, as a developer, I should say. But then I decided that if I want to make some money, I need to get into the, apartment, build some apartments, okay?
Yeah.
Which is where at that point, because when I build a home, okay, and build a home, I'm out of the deal all this entirety. But if I have a 10-room apartment building, okay, I have revenue coming in for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. And I think that, your listeners, especially those, say, who maybe military or former military and still have access to, the VA loan. Should look at that, because the VA loan, and again, as I mentioned before, the FHA loan allows you to be able to get a 4-unit apartment building and then live in one of the units, rent out the other 3, then getting that income that you're talking about that could potentially pay for the entire unit itself, and then you're living rent free, and then potentially also taking care of other utilities and other items that happen in your life. So, that's another form of what they call house hacking. Generally, when we talk about house hacking, people really think about, just buying a nice large home. And if you're, say, on the East Coast, you may have a basement or something. And so then, renovating the basement and renting out the basement or renting out some of the rooms. But you should look to having a multi-family home, essentially. Again, renting out living in one of those units and then renting out the other 3. And again, that helps you to be able to get that income that you talk about.
Yeah, and I know one of the things that a lot of families now, having kids move back home, kids not leaving home, and so what that does is, it's kind of and not the pandemic changed the whole landscape for a whole lot of things. And I think the housing market was one of those things that was affected. The impact, I should say, was great on how development would take place. But now money is cheap now compared to what it used to be. Well, I know about 20, 30 years ago, interest rates at 15%. Well, that's was the going rate in most cases.
Absolutely. There's a lot of factors that go into. Again, you like to ask these loaded questions. And for anybody who's particularly interested, particularly in investing or moving in a certain place, what you probably should do is just a tip. Go look at moving companies. Moving companies every year or every couple of years put out a report of where people are moving to. And so there was a great exodus, if you will, out of, some people out of the blue states and into the red states, specifically California, and a lot of people moved to Texas because, again, there is no personal property tax there. And so that became attractive, and the laws a little bit different. And so you saw a lot of people moving out of one place to the next place because things were just getting so expensive. I just was talking to another friend and associate who is in Washington, D.C., and they have a nice 1-bedroom in a place that was actually renovated. That 1 bedroom is like $1,500, and he's living by himself. He's doing okay, but it's $1,500 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. So it becomes very costly for a lot of us, especially a lot of us, if we don't happen to have, decent jobs, if you will, coming out of college or, life changes happening, to be able to go out and live on your own. You almost have to have 2, 3, 4 different people together in order to go and find something to actually rent and live in. So yes, a lot of people during the pandemic, may have been, lost their jobs and did not have, the wherewithal to work from home, and so yes, they still are at home saving money because things have gotten so crazy. The last thing I'll say is that if you look at the rent rates in a lot of some of these cities, and there's some studies out there that have, they published, they've increased drastically. And that's because there are a lot of organizations that are purchasing, homes and then actually renting them out to other people, and they're making improvements on them, which are great. But I think that there is just this gap, if you will, between purchasing a home, renovating it, and renting to a specific clientele, and those who basically are trying to get a start. There really isn't very much starter home renting that's available out there now.
Well, Johnson, right now, I'm looking where you might be aware, here in Missouri, in Kansas City, the council there is just have agreed, okay, that a one-bedroom apartment unit there, okay, goes for $1,200 a month.
Now, what was it a couple of years ago?
Hey, probably about $600 a month.
700. They went from 700 to 1,200.
Yeah, sometime in that range, okay. So I know that's a drastic jump, okay, and that's pretty much around the country because, as you said earlier, a lot of we call it investors now.
Yes.
Are buying up, all the apartment buildings they can get, and also right now the investors now are buying up all the homes in foreclosure.
Yes.
That they can get their hands on, and then not selling them but renting them, okay. So they have found, like I said early on, that you can have a better, you make more money than sitting in the house at one time by leasing out for over a period of time.
You're absolutely correct about that, but I can put another spin on that. So, a positive spin, and the reason why that that's out there is that there's been a lot of money that's been pretty much sitting on the sidelines. You mentioned money is cheap, and then there are some people who have amassed decent sums of money, through working in stocks and just saving and things of that sort. So they need to push into movement. And so since we've specifically moved into, according to recent reports, a bearish market, which means that in the stock market, things, it's lower. It's not necessarily always going up, right? It's trending downward on a consistent basis. You have to find somewhere to put your money so it actually performs in a better situation. And generally in those kinds of situations, you put your money in real estate. So going back to something that I was saying before about, those who may have a home, and you may have that son, daughter that may be at home still and is looking to, wants to move out but can't move out. Think about taking that equity in your home and going to one of the neighborhoods, purchasing a home, right? Putting your 20% down, getting your renovation. And there are some mortgage products that are out there that would allow you to do what they call a renovation loan. Right. That means where you can actually, they will give you the money to purchase the home, and then they'll turn around and give you money to actually fix up the home. Yeah. And then they'll roll it into the cost of the final mortgage at the end. And then you can move your son, daughter into that home, let them pay the rent that they can afford, and it becomes an investment stream. But
John, there's one caveat to that we left out there.
All right.
Is your credit report.
Oh. Yes, sir.
No, now that sounds good, okay, what you just said, okay. And he said, I like that. Oh my God, that is great. That is great, okay. But in the houses out there, the market's there in the neighborhood. But when you go to buy that house, you may have the down payment. Your home could be used as collateral, but that credit report is the thing that's going to be holding people back.
True. And here's the thing. I used to originate mortgages back in the early 2000s. I am no longer a mortgage originator, so I need to make sure I make that disclosure. I'm also not a financial analyst. I need to make sure I make that disclosure. And then finally, I'm not an attorney, so please make sure that you consult any of these professional advisors before making a decision. But what I would say to that is figure out what your credit score is. So at least once a year, you can go and pull what they call a tri-merge credit report, right? What does that mean? So there are 3 credit agencies: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. That's the big 3. You can actually go to Experian or one of those places and actually say, I want my yearly credit report. And I believe that there's a website, I don't have it right now to tip of my hands, but just type in the place that everybody goes, just to Google, right? And say annual free credit report. And again, if there's a link there with Experian.com, try that one, because I've seen that one, that agency does pretty well with this. But get your credit report and look at the score for all 3 of them. From a mortgage perspective, what they're going to be looking at is they're going to take all 3 of those scores and they're going to rank them from lowest to highest, right? whatever the middle score is going to be your credit report or your credit score. Now, if you are married, right, you and your partner, spouse, go and pull both of your credit reports, right? Again, sort each one of yours from lowest to highest, right? So one partner may have like a 620, the other one has a middle score of 580. What the mortgage person is going to do is take the one that is the lowest. So together, your score in that situation could be 580. But that's not the end of the story. What you need to do is to understand that most FHA products, if I'm not mistaken, and I've kind of talked with some of my other mortgage people recently, a 620 or a 640 middle score would qualify you for a decent interest rate to get an FHA loan. Well, what type of loan should I get, Jonathan? Should I get an FHA 6, 30 or 6? Should I get an ARM? Should I get a Nina, the Santa Maria?
What you don't want to get is a balloon, the one that balloons.
Excuse me, folks.
Yes.
This is Scott Owen, the manager of Ferguson USA Hot Talk Radio. I just want to let you know that the website you're speaking of is annualcreditreport.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott, just one more time, Scott.
Yes, annualcreditreport.com is the only source for free credit reports. It's authorized by federal law. That's annualcreditreport.com.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. I'm sorry to interrupt.
John, as you can see, John, we on the ball here. Okay.
Thank you so much.
What we try to do here, Scott, John, if you make a mistake, and we come back and we say, well, I made a mistake. Okay, so, because, we heard around the world, and we don't want people going, well, oh, you told us a lot. No. And we're doing this since 2015, okay? And I'm happy to say that, we have, people allowing us for information that you don't get other places.
Right.
And that's you're saying right now, you can't get other places. They can get it okay, but find out how to look for it, how to fix them, that's where the problem comes in.
Right. But I think, and thank you so much for finding that URL.
No problem.
Annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. And here's another thing that we need to be okay with. We need to be okay with being uncomfortable and looking at what's really there. Right, okay? And so it's all right to sit down at the kitchen table with you and your partner, your spouse, and say, all right, here are our credit reports. What's here? And the first thing I would do is I would go through and look for anything that's incorrect. Because you can challenge those things, and by law, if you can prove that they're incorrect, those things will fall off your credit report. And that may actually impact your credit report in a positive way, and meaning that your credit score will go up. Because those negative things that will fall off your credit report.
Another thing, Jonathan, that you said, okay, let me expound. When you go look at the credit report, in some cases you're going to be quite shocked what you find, how long you've been having a credit report being done on you, and not because you didn't think about it or you didn't yourself, but it all had a history. Anything you bought is going through your life. I didn't pay for it.
Mm-hmm. And you pay for it not just on maybe getting denied for that car, getting denied for that house. It also, potentially could affect you getting insurance.
Right.
Whether that's life insurance, car insurance, it affects you in getting that next apartment. It affects you in so many different ways. Yeah.
Getting a job.
Yep. Getting a job. Absolutely.
And that's why I said that credit report is a very, very important thing in our lives, and we don't put enough interest on it because we say, "Oh, I'm not trying to buy. I ain't trying to buy for." But no. You trying to get a job someplace, they're gonna check your credit report.
Absolutely. And if you're dating someone and it's getting serious, hold the credit. Get down and hold the credit report so you know what you're getting into.
Right. Okay. So that's why it behooves you to take them from what we just gave you. That way you're prepared, and there are also agencies. Okay. I know here in St. Louis. Okay, we have where our office is located, Jesse and Peterson. They do. They work on your credit for free.
There you go.
For free. Okay. There are people who will charge you, but if you go to Jesse and Peterson here in St. Louis, and in fact the number is 314-888-8255. 533. Oh my God, that's all kinds of one of the things, but I give it to you. But if you go to JustinePeterson.com, 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 .org, JustinePeterson.org, JustinePeterson.org. If you go to either one of those I just gave you, and you go there, they will be able to help you with your credit report. Also, will help you also get your first credit card once you got that done.
Yep.
You know, and also help you finance something. Also, if you want to buy something.
There you go. And so there's a couple other things quick here. I think I would say that you could do for free here. Number one is go through the process. If you are seriously interested in getting a home of your own, or trying to do something on that ilk, find you a good mortgage broker that you can deal with. That's the difference between generally a loan officer with a bank versus a mortgage broker. Because the loan officer with the bank, generally, they're only going to look at the programs that the bank offers, where a mortgage broker will look at a bunch of different companies, right, and take your profile to a bunch of different companies and try to find you the best rate and the best score. And then they will also help guide you potentially through understanding what things are positive, what things are negative, what things to clear up, what things not to clear up. And that's the first thing that you should do before trying to go and find a real estate agent, or even going on, say, Realtor.com or other places and fall in love with a home that you were not able to go for. Yeah.
Guys, my wife is an agent, been one for years, okay? And the first thing that, I remember she's pretty story, but now, first thing they ask right now, how much house can you buy? What do you qualify for? He said, I don't know. We're going to go get credit for it. If the income back, and you'd be surprised how what people can afford and what they want are two different things.
Yes, sir. 100%. And that's the reason why I said do that before you go talk to a real estate agent, because generally they're going to do exactly what your wife said is that should be what you're looking for. Because as a real estate agent, the first thing we're going to ask, as your wife said, is, hey, well, what are you interested in? And you're going to come and say, oh, I just saw this property online on site XYZ, and I want that property right there. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm talking to a mortgage professional first. Mm-hmm. You then find out what your max budget is. So when you're talking with a real estate agent, you're able to intelligently let them know what your limit is, what you can afford, doing a budget, right? So just because you can afford a $500,000 home, that may not work for your budget because you have kids that are in college, you have other things, you have houses, you have cars, you're trying to save for the future. You want to make sure that you're considering all those things before moving forward with that. Also, too, there is a difference between going through pre-qualification and pre-approval.
Yes.
So let me break that down, and I'll let you ask the next question. When you start talking about this stuff, my mind just starts running. Because some of us don't know. So pre-qualification is, I've talked to a mortgage professional, I kind of told them what I make and, what my W-2s are, blah, 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 blah. And then they come back with, well, based on this is what you qualify for. But a pre-approval means I have actually presented those documents. I've given my 2 years of W-2 to a mortgage professional. I've given my last 2 months of my bank statements. I've given the last 2 months of my pay stub. Those are things that they need to actually verify and take you through the underwriting process so that you come out with a stronger yes than pre-qualification. Because in pre-qualification, they may say you can qualify for X, but then when you find a home, the next thing is going to be, well, you need to now go and do an application and present all those documents. If you're doing that whole credit thing now, looking at your credit report, go through pre-qualification and talk to your mortgage professional about being pre-approved so that you know what you can afford. They've looked at all the pitfalls and they know that you're ready to move forward. From a real estate agent perspective, that's gold. You're ready to rock and roll. I know somebody has already looked at how much you have in the bank. If we write something, we write a contract, this thing is good as gold. Because now with the housing market, and I think there's some softening going on. In a lot of different places, you know, people are putting in offers and having to go through 3, 4, 5, 6 different submittals of offers and not getting them because they may not be fast enough or that houses are still competitive. So having this all together makes you a lot more competitive, makes you a lot better and able to actually move and make it happen.
Also, Johnson, one other person you left out that equation we just gave there, and that becomes the underwriter. That's become your new best mortgage friend.
Absolutely. So when you're talking to your mortgage professional and your mortgage broker, a lot of times they have relationships with the people who, once they have received those documents, they've gone through what they need to do as mortgage brokers, they have to submit that stuff to an underwriter in order for them to be able to look at it and check and verify that everything is there. Well, the first underwriting that generally most mortgage brokers do, and again, loan officers in general, is they'll send it through the computer. You may have heard the computer kicks it back. In the mortgage world, there's two. There's a desktop underwriting and a loan process, what we call them DQ and LQ. So they'll send their stuff through there, and then it will pretty much say, yes, this person is approved, or it may say this person is approved with conditions. And so it's the underwriting job at that point in time for you to figure out what those conditions are and what's going to happen, and then they go back and talk to the mortgage professional, who then will talk to you about what you need to do in order to get yourself in a situation where you can actually get pre-approved.
Hey, Al.
Yes, sir.
I would like to put a question up.
Go ahead.
What if you have a credit card and you pay the credit card off and still have it open, but you done paid your bill down and stuff? Would that be representing a credit report for you or something?
If you have a credit card and you paid it down to, I believe, depending on the credit bureau, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 to maybe 35% of whatever the balance is, or paid it off.
You paid it off. But you still got your car open. You know how they say on their express card says you paid, you won't get charged no interest, stuff like that. But what if the person that paid that off? Could that help them get a house or something like that? Is that in the credit report?
That should be reporting to your credit report, and depending on who the credit card is with, it may report to one or all three of the agencies, and generally will report as good. The thing that also will help you is the length of credit. So if you've had that card for a number of years and you have a zero balance, that will definitely help boost your credit score. Something else that we talked about earlier with the agency that Ira mentioned, that can help you potentially repair your credit. What you can also do for yourself, if you don't happen to be near one of those agencies, is go to your bank and see if they have the ability to do a secured credit card. So what is a secured credit card? Secured credit card means you've actually given them the money or the max amount of what that card is, and then they hold that amount, if you will, in deposit. So let's say you wanted a credit card that had a $500 limit. You take $500 in cash, give it to the bank will hold on to that $500 in cash. You won't have access to it, but then in return, they will give you a credit card that has a limit of $500. As long as you continue every month, say you buy something and you pay it right off, that will continue to show paid as agreed, and it will continue to build good credit history for you moving forward.
Thank you.
Absolutely, sir.
Also, now, Jonathan, you wear many hats, okay? Now, one of the things that's being discussed right now, that's definitely in the news, okay, is, we talked about loans, okay, and how that affects you. But right now, President Biden most recently forgave anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 on student debt. And most people black folks who went to college, okay, they end up getting they got financed in some kind of way to go to school through the counseling at your high school or then at the college. And most people end up with a debt. Talk a little bit about that debt forgiveness, how this going to affect some people.
I think that that's going to help some people, especially with the smaller balances that they have on their loan, especially if they're delinquent on them. One of the things I'll give you another insight tip that I found in some municipalities as well. One of the things, if you're doing underwriting on a mortgage and someone has a student debt that's outstanding, that actually has kicked a lot of people out of being able to buy a home. So if you're now going to have $10,000, $20,000 forgiven, that might be able to. I'm not sure how that the law works on this yet because I haven't read it. But it should be able to take care of the delinquent balances you have and reduce the amount that you owe, thereby increasing potentially your score so that you actually get a better situation. The other insight thing that I wanted to talk about was a place that I grew up in. I grew up in East Pleasant, Maryland, right there in Capitol Heights, East Pleasant, Maryland. And in East Pleasant, Maryland, they actually have a program, I'm not sure if it's still going on, for millennials who happen to have student loan debt. And if you move into that particular place, they would actually, year by year, actually pay off your student loan debt.
Wow.
Or they would get preference and status for you to be able to buy a home in that particular area. I'm pretty sure that other municipalities are doing this. You may want to just check and see around your area if there are any of the cities that are kind of doing that, the student loan forgiveness plan and program. And it kind of works as kind of the down payment assistance programs work. So check that out. Again, that might help some of the listeners as well. So a combination of getting debt loan forgiveness and moving in a municipality that actually is going to help you forgive your loan debt. I mean, hey, that's money in the bank for you. Again, you can start your process of home ownership.
Johnson, another thing that I need to bring out here, that most large cities right now, and some mid-sized, matter of fact, most cities and most states, during the pandemic, President Biden freed up a couple $1 million early on. And so most $1 trillion, I should say, And so most states and most cities right now do have money that they can put, that they have now, they're trying to figure out how to use that money. In some cases, they may have some program like one you just mentioned, but they haven't had a chance to publicize it yet. And that's what normally would take place, is that I would suggest you would call these city halls and ask that question to see, is this apple to me in my city? No matter how small you are, and ask the question.
Right. And even if you're in a small city, you may want to then look at the county level. Because the county generally, and here's the ebb and flow of this, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, they're in the process of probably prepping the programs that give you down payment assistance. Mm-hmm. The down payment assistance programs generally will start December, January, February. Mm-hmm. December, January, February. So if you're in the process of saying, hey, I want to buy a home in 2023, that's my goal, go ahead, go to annualcreditreport.com. By law, you get one free tri-merge report, meaning tri-merge meaning three come from all three of the bureaus. You can see everything that's there, right? We talked about going through that. We talked about potentially going to a mortgage broker and getting help, potentially going to a nonprofit organization that will help you repair your credit for free. Get all of that going, but then start looking at your city and your county, right, for down payment assistance programs. Generally what they'll do is they'll set aside, as I was mentioning, a bucket of money for you to be able to move into areas that either need to be gentrified or in the process of being up and coming, okay? And so you can go in there, get a house, potentially get some renovation money and live in there and, not have to pay so much out of pocket because some of your down payment is actually being taken care of.
And it's down payment assistance.
Yep, down payment assistance. And then some of it is down payment forgiveness. Or what they do is, well, there's a lot of different things. I won't confuse anybody.
I think right now, that's just one of the sides of Johnson. But right now, he's worked, he's been in demand around the world, okay? Why don't you tell a bit about, things you've done on a global perspective?
Say one more time, Ira. I'm sorry.
What are some things you've done on a global perspective?
Wow. I have worked as a consultant with some manufacturing companies that were global, and have done a little bit of work overseas. Again, as I mentioned earlier at the top of this, I'm currently managing a team of a cross-functional team, as we would call. So they're developers and user experience, UI, UX, individuals, testers, etc.
Explain what you just said.
Oh, okay. Let me break that down. So I'm in the computer field. So there is for instance, there's a website that you may go to that you like. Well, there's a team of people who have to put that website together, right? There's some people who have to put together the computers that hold all the files. Those things are servers. That is called infrastructure. There's some people who have to code, right? Or the coders. Those people are developers. And then there are some people who are responsible for making sure that it looks good, right? Because you've been to some sites and you're like, this doesn't work for me, it doesn't work on my phone. Or, those people are UI, UX people, or user interface, user experience people. So that's what I mean by a cross-functional team. They each have their own function, but there's somebody who has to kind of coordinate all of them together. And that's what I do as a project manager. And so we're right now, again, half of my team is overseas. I manage multiple projects. So I have one team that's in France. I have another team member that's actually in Pakistan, one in Malaysia. I've had one in Serbia and one in Barcelona. So international teams and diversity is something that I really, really enjoy, and working with those teams. I think I'm pretty skilled at doing that and helping out organizations in that way.
And not only that, okay, you have done some things in the country also in a couple of places.
Yeah, one of the things I will name and kind of give myself a pat on the back about this was a great time.
This is the place to do it.
It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Well, come on. So there is a federal agency, cabinet level agency called the Department of Housing and Urban Development that has a tool called HUD Connect, and HUD Connect was initially thought to be a website system to help those within the Department of Housing and Urban Development stay connected, right? Specifically targeted towards the millennials who are coming in. So it basically is like a Facebook, Twitter kind of webpage that's internal to HUD. And so I was the project manager that helped lead that to victory and actually installing that. And it's actually, HUD-wide, 10,000 plus users nationwide. And I'm really, really happy about that. I'm also working in law enforcement and military type environments as well. We'll talk about those. But
let's go back, okay. Let's go back to the hood, okay. What was the most challenging thing in doing that project?
I'll call a good associate friend of mine who now works at McKinsey, the famous McKinsey in Philadelphia. His name is Michael Adenopoulos. We're going to shout out to Michael. He said he's the director there now for their sales and e-commerce side of things. And one of the things that he gave me credit for, he said, herding cats was an Olympic sport dolphins would have a gold medal. So the biggest thing was to recognize that, sometimes when you're on these projects, everybody has, we call people who are on projects who have decision making, or people who need to be appeased, we call them stakeholders. And you have to recognize that all of these stakeholders have their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own goals of what they want to do. And I think Michael's comment was such that he felt that I did a pretty decent job of helping and understanding what those things were and making sure that everybody was successful in that. And so it was definitely a challenge as Michael with firm and herding cats to make that happen. But it was definitely a joy, and glad that it's still being used by the agency.
That's your real. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jonathan.
No, that was probably the most challenging one. Is the politics of the thing.
Well, Jonathan, one of the things now, something we talked about the other day, that there are a lot of major corporations worldwide, and there are a lot of job openings now. And one good thing now, there's a lot of people with degrees, and some companies right now are not looking for people with degrees, okay? Well, they are actually they are looking for people with degrees, but they want to have a person that has a diversified background, such as you have. And I said to you the other day that I think that right now corporations now, on a global basis, who's doing things worldwide, diversity is becoming more and more of a part of the conversation every day. Most of the major corporations right now are opening up some type of diversified position with the company, somebody with diversity. And so, and that person goes out and see how they can bring somebody that has the knowledge, okay, not necessarily the education, am I right?
That's correct. There are, specifically, again, I'm coming from the computer side of things, right? There are a lot of people who are getting jobs, and I know of a couple who got, within the last year, got jobs doing coding that were not, quote-unquote, professional coders. They actually taught themselves. Right. So what can I learn? And they went to YouTube and they found other communities online, and they learned how to code, and they built a portfolio. So that goes back to what we're talking about, having that experience. Right. And having a portfolio is important. And from a coding world, that's GitHub. GitHub shows the portfolio of code, or the different types of programs and things that you've done and problems that you've solved. And then that shows people that you can now take on those things. And they made a risk. They put risk on these people because they saw their portfolio. What I try to do, and again, you mentioned about those backgrounds, I did spend some time at ICT Technical Institute, and I was a program chair there, and got to teach students who were trying to, get their college degree or a certification of sorts. And one of the things that we tried to do was to ensure that they had real-world skills. So I would take some of my students who were developers, and I said, hey, do you guys want to work in a team rather than having to go and, do the things out of the book? And they said, sure. And so we went and found a problem within the school, and I said, all right, now use all of the things that we taught and fix this problem. And they built a brand new system that then could be used by, internally. And so you need to find those kinds of things within your communities, within your schools, in order to be robust. Another one that was kind of similar to that, there was another cohort where the gentlemen were in multimedia. And so that means that they were doing graphic design. They were learning how to record video. They were learning how to edit video. And I had a friend of mine in the Washington, D.C. area, and I said, hey, how's it going where you are? She said, I'm doing fine. She said, we have a problem fundraising. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah, it'd be great if we had another video to actually give out to people who can potentially be funders of the organization. Ding, 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 ding. Here is that, portfolio. Here is that actual experience that you can find. And so I put them together and I said, hey, guys, do you really want real-world experience? So build your portfolio so when you go out, you can talk about problems that you solve. They said, yeah. And so there was one person who stepped up, and it was very interesting to me because most of the gentlemen that were in my classes were African American, but none of them wanted to step up to be a leader in this situation. It was an Asian American, very smart guy. He said, "Look, I'll take it on." I said, "Good, I'll support you. Now, here's what I want you to do: go hire your classmates." Right? So he said, "Okay, I'll do that." I said, "Now, look, I can't. This was obviously not for credit or anything like that." I said, "But I'll make the introductions." I made the introductions. And they were able to work with this nonprofit and put together a video. And the nonprofit was very impactful in that they were, if you will, kind of a halfway house for those who were re-entering from prison. And so they got to actually talk with ex-offenders, learn about their story. I mean, they were so impacted. I mean, they were crying, and it was just this whole huge moment that was above and beyond, hey, I'm just doing this so I can have a demo reel to be able to show to somebody. They actually made a real impact in the community and was able to then also have a piece of work they could show. And so if you can do things like that, right, with the use of being, social media and TikTok, et cetera, then that helps. I think that there still are a lot of churches and a lot of ministries that have not been able to capitalize on technology, and young people could potentially, do reverse mentoring, as we would call it, and help these ministries out, if you will, to be on TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and, run the online stream ministry and manage these communities that then give them marketable skills to be able to go into corporations and other places to do things.
Well, John, you're not aware of this, okay? When you got drafted, here, Reverend Niles, myself, Reverend Larry Brown, Reverend Klein Crumpton, we'll be convening, we got some programs that one of our members has created, how we can get those students to know their history and as well as get them started going forward, okay? Yeah, and I think what you're doing, okay, you can kind of help us a little bit, quite a bit, okay, to understand some of the things that's available resource-wise, and I think that'll be very helpful to us. So I say you can draft it already. I'm let you know in front.
Look, for our Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce, I'm good. I personally fine. Let me know.
Well, I know one thing. We met, and I had so much fun working with you. And I'm serious. And we talk about our project. Then when we got in Haiti, one you was doing, I think down here, someplace I was in Utah, someplace. And we talk about those different things together. And it's always interesting and exciting for me to be able to talk to another. One of the things that most black men find at your level that we don't find a lot of black men, okay, that are where we are.
Yeah.
So we can kind of communicate, about what we're doing and tell our war stories, for lack of a better description.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Because there have been some times, I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off here, there have been some times that I've been in some really tight situations. And there were two questions that I asked. How would I have known whatever this situation was, and who could I turn to for help to be able to deal with this and to be able to navigate these situations? And so, part of my passion is, my vocation, and this is 100%, at my core. And let me say this before I say that. One of the things when I went to ITC, it was kind of at a reset moment for me in my life. And my whole philosophy up to that point was those who can do and those who can't teach. So I felt like going to teaching was a failure kind of thing, but it was one of the best lessons that came out of that, because it really galvanized the giftings and talents that I think I have, to the effect that there's a gentleman who's about the same age, but every year he sends me a message to say Happy Father's Day. Now, I'm not married, I don't have any kids, but I said, well, why are you singing this? And this has been going on for the last 10 or 12 years. He says Happy Father's Day. He says, because you fathered us all. So I was able to deduce that my vocation in life, above and beyond all the other things that I do that I love, with technology, I love with real estate, love with, other different things that I do, is to help minority males 18 to 30-something to recognize what success, or identify what success is for them, and to see it come to fruition.
Well, see, now that's the one age group right now. There are people older, okay, but that age group right now, that is the future of the black community, because most of those young people's fathers been incarcerated, or they've been killed.
Yeah.
And so this is like a generation more than ever before well, they've been raised by mothers, okay, and they haven't had a chance to have females. The males, I just said, means a lot. And so for you to mentor the young men and stuff, in the age of 20 to 30, it's just a blessing by itself, and I commend you. But right now, okay, I got to tell you now, our global ambassador, our CEO of the National Human Congress, Mr. Chuck DeVone, has joined us, Chuck. And today we're having one of our members here, Jonathan Nichols, who's been, he's in the D.C. area also, but we're going to him to the Blockchain Academy, and he's been offering a lot of wealth of information about the things that's taking place in our communities, and as far as how blacks can advance themselves, take advantage of technology that's out there for them, not just here, and not in the country, but on a global basis. And so, Chuck DeVone, Jonathan Nichols, how you doing, Chuck?
Nice to meet you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Chuck. Amen.
Amen. Well, Chuck, I got to put you on the spot, okay? Last week you started something, you didn't finish, okay? About your trip to Colombia, and you told us a little bit about, okay, when the people you met there, but you didn't tell the best part about that, okay?
Which part?
You didn't tell us the best part on the air, okay? You and I talked, okay? Why don't you tell us about, okay, how you got your seat on the stage there, and how God put you from the back of the room to the front of the room? Tell us. Come on.
Yeah, and my only hesitancy is that it is has something to do with politics.
But that's okay, Chuck. That's okay.
But we're from the outside. We don't know the inside part, but all we know is what we lived and what we experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't know if I explained, but anyway, we were just saying how. Well, the backdrop to the situation was the underdog, an extreme underdog, won the election.
Right.
So even though he was leading in the polls, he's a former guerrilla fighter, and it's a situation kind of like they're socialists, and they were believing that society, the economy, government should be inclusive. And so you have to have the context that in a country such as this, which really had been a third world kind of economy up until the Narcos era hit, and all of a sudden they had more money than we don't even know how much money they had. They had so much money. Yeah. So this candidate, who was for the people, of the people, represented the left, and had all these wild ideas about how there should be social programs and other things. Anyway, this guy won. His name is Petro, and he's a former guerrilla fighter. And his running mate is a Afro-descendant black woman who was also a guerrilla fighter. And these people fought for their lives, their livelihood. I mean, you could debate it, but whatever the case may be, those that had everything, and those that had not had very little to nothing. And there was even a part. So anyway, not to say that, that's the backdrop to it. So there were all these people that, the people that had money, the establishment, said, oh no, the world's coming into the end. The leftist candidate won. He's getting ready to drive his country crazy. So they started heading for the hills and moving out of there. So the United States, being pretty much the leader of the free world of the world, really, even if you with China and Russia and all that, they try to make you think on the news. They got this militarily, or they got that money-wise. But in terms of the people, all the people are rolling with how crazy America is. From we can say anything we want, we go out and protest, we can say bad things about our president, not get killed, that kind of stuff going on. So I was invited by the transition committee of really the vice president, because she's pro-black economic development.
Mhm.
And, you know, I don't know all this about the socialism or the communism. I'm coming straight in with a big flag-waving capitalism. And although that may not be a direct thing, but it is definitely a give us a chance to feed ourselves. Let us a chance to get out here and participate in the playing field of the economy. So, with all that said, the security, the security for the whole event. Now, the Army, the local police, the national, all these different kinds of police they have, they all are shifted now. They're the people that were guerrilla fighters and all that are now in power, and they run in security, and they're like, you know, just 1 foot out of halfway being wild. And I mean, like AK-47 total wild, right up here in the middle. Not that was unusual compared to what it was. Now these folks are like, just because you may have a suit on or have a different skin complexion or whatever, don't mean you're privileged anymore. So my little crew that I was with, it was about a delegation of 10, and we did have some name brand folks with us that were officially representing the U.S. government in terms of who they were, but not officially in terms of credentials and formally invited and a message from the president and all that. So they couldn't really be that official. So everybody was having a hard time getting in. So my boy took me straight to the front of the line and said, "This is the Washington delegation. He doesn't speak any English, and we don't have any time to play, and we're going in." And don't you know, these crazy people, they just parted the ways and said, and they said it in English, "Come right on in, follow us." And they led me past, I'm talking about a line with maybe 10,000 people. And I mean, and they were fighting and arguing, and do you have my name on the list? And no, your name ain't on the list. And we don't know you. You know, all this going on in Spanish. And I was kind of in shock. And I was like, fellas, we don't need to push this too much. We don't need to try it. And they said, listen, everybody just follow Chuck. And I'm talking about, I had people from Panama, Ecuador, Peru, all these different places were like behind me. And they were just cackling off in Spanish, trying to argue with people and everything. And they put me up there and said, no, he don't speak any Spanish. And they just looked at me and said, okay, go on. And go on through. And I took about 20 people right on through. So that was like one checkpoint. And I mean, they had about 5 or 6 checkpoints. Then you go to another one. And they stop for a minute, and they're looking around, and there's these people that are like hospitality folks for the inaugural committee. And they get somebody, and each time we get a little bit higher, and they start flagging me off. So finally, we get all the way into the area where so there's one whole area, I mean, like maybe 50,000 people with no seats, just an open square, and it's just crazy out there. So you go from that, and there's some bleacher seats. You get past that one, and then there's some seats like on the floor, but you're like 200 rows back. And then you go past that group, and you're 100 rows up. Then you get past that one, and then you're like 20 rows up. But you got to walk up by the stage, the podium, and everything, and that's where all these dignitaries were. I'm like the president of Chile, the president of Panama, the president of Ecuador, the president of Honduras. Everybody was there except for the United States. And so we're supposed to be like their buddy. We're giving them a ton of money. I mean, lots of money was given to them. And so it turns out that, I guess I don't mind saying this, probably Congressman Meeks was there. And he is a very good man, very kind man, and he's a powerful man. You know, he's I think he's over finance now. For the House of Representatives, for the Congress. And so he's there, but I didn't realize that he was there as a guest of USAID, not representing the President of the United States or the White House. And
Jesse Jackson there also.
Yeah, well, and that's even another interesting dynamic. Jonathan Jackson had just won the primary, and it took me a minute to understand he had won the main election that puts you into, you know, the House, the Congress. He had won the beginning to see which Democrat it was going to be or who's going to run for the main thing and all that. So he had won it, but here he come walking up in it. And guess what?
He's with Chuck.
He had to be with Chuck. He was with Chuck. And I'm like, brother, come on. You're the Washington delegation now.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to take you all the way to Capitol Hill. You ain't got to worry about it. Hey, and this was the nicest guy, humble, was just asking a lot of questions, giving his seat to little old ladies. And I mean, this wasn't no jaded, precocious politician. And so we really had a good chance to talk, and he had his father.
Just what keep on what now? Where we getting close to the 40. Come on.
So anyway, I don't know which part. Oh, so anyway, Alan, you tell me what part you want to hear.
Right now, when you've been teaching there, put you on the big stage.
Well, they walked us in, and we were walking in, so there was these steps. I mean, these seats, and you know how people had put a purse or something in a chair, and we couldn't get in it, and so I was saying, fellas, I don't think we're gonna have any luck finding these seats closer. They kept walking up. I mean, like we're like right up by the front now, and they kept walking. All these people, I didn't know who they were. They're very important, you know, Colombians. And so they said, no, we had. Oh, my God said, no, this is the Washington delegation. Man, they had this whole roped off section, and it was like about 5 rows, and not a person anywhere near any of these seats. They're wide open. They walked me right up there and said, "These are your seats, sir," and put us in there, and we were like maybe 10th row from the front or so. I got photos. I can pull all this stuff, but yeah, man, it was different. And you know how I was telling you before I was going, I was not going as a representative of the government. I was just going on my own personal thing and all that. And don't you know, lo and behold, you end up becoming somewhat political because they were making a example. And I was kind of comparing it to that Brittany Griner situation. So the President of the United States, and this is really where it gets really a statement by abstaining. There are 3 black female vice presidents in the Western Hemisphere in the last 500 years. Wow. The first one was Epsie Campbell, who was there from Costa Rica, and she's a close friend of mine. It just so happened we had been knowing each other before she was vice president. And now, then there was the second one, was Kamala Harris, and then the third one is Franzia Marquette, the new elected vice president of Colombia. So 2 of the 3 are there, but nobody from the U.S. government is officially there. And you were there. I was there. Congressman Meeks was there. Congressman-to-be Jackson was there. And who knows who was there from the CIA and the NSA and all that.
I asked you to tell that story, okay, to show people, okay, the significance, okay, because this shows over here all around, we don't switch all around the world, okay, on Spotify and all those, they can hear the story, okay. about the importance of the NASDAQ Chamber of Commerce in the whole world now. We have been, Chuck been doing this for years with Kay DeVoe, who now passed on, and now he's the face of the NASDAQ Chamber of Commerce around the world. And that's the point I want to say. And we're so blessed to have you every Saturday on our program.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, it's humbling. It's humbling, and then that whole piece about economic empowerment and how it relates or becomes the foundation, the building blocks for human rights, social and civil rights. That's what they were saying. They said, man, if it wasn't for you coming here over 10 years ago and forcing these people to start taking us seriously, that they're gonna have to do business with us, or that we're real. So this day of having a black vice president would have never been made possible.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Kate, and Harry, whoever you are. Thank you so much.
So that's the leadership for Latin America. They all are seeing it now.
Right.
And so anyway, I mean that, you just gotta live in your shoes. You walk forward, you take a step in it. You don't always know everything. What the implications are, who's doing what. But we manage, we do the best we can, and I praise God that I'm alive and I happen to be in the right place trying to do the right thing on the right day.
Amen.
Jonathan, right now, you and Chuck, I'm going to introduce you guys later on some more, okay? But I wanted to have this Chuck tell the story here because it's so the importance of it. And I want to get into the meeting that he had with y'all. He was a guest speaker down there because we ain't got a lot of time here.
Ira, you remember every little thing.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because this is like a week later, and I'm like, I don't even remember some of the stuff.
Well, anyway, Chuck, I know, but anyway, give us a little update right now. We almost out of time, and I want you to speak more, okay? But you remember I was a Liberty Commerce, he also part of Black Academy situation, and he's been doing a lot of good things, and he's been recognized around the world, and he's also in the D.C. area. So you guys will be meeting sometime. So Chuck, on that note, give us you gave us that update, and give us an update here, in the last couple of minutes. Get it down.
Guys, I just need to let you know that it's 2:59.
Well, go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead, right quick, 30 seconds, Chuck.
A lot coming. We'll be giving a good report here in the coming weeks, and we're just gonna get through Labor Day and bless everybody a wonderful holiday and a good week. We'll talk soon. Love y'all.
Okay, on that note, my name is our folks. That's Chuck, that's Jonathan, that's Rev, and that's Scott, and that's me. Continue to let us be a part of your weekend. Launch Missouri Chamber of Commerce can be seen on Facebook, YouTube, and also you can hear it again tomorrow at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock on FergusonUSA.com. Thank you so much, Chuck. Thank you, Jonathan.
Amen.
Life is good.